Now, let's look at question 1 first. Question 1 is relevant to everybody. Find all the integers that satisfy the inequality. -4 is less than 3 plus 2x less than 5. I mentioned this before. If you attended my classes before, the question also requires you to know what is an integer. And last year, one of my students after the exam texted me, "Sure, is 0 an integer? Is 0 an integer? Kimi, is 0 an integer? Yes or no?" You all learned that in Sec 1, Chapter 2. So you must know what the definition of an integer is. Let's go ahead and solve the inequality first. How do I solve the inequality, Kimi? Split them into 2, right? Very good. So you just draw a line here. Actually, it doesn't really matter. So -4 is less than or equal to 3x plus 3 plus 2x. We don't write anything in the middle. You just write 3 plus 2x less than 5. There is technically a word that you can write in the middle, and some schools will teach you to write the word, but Cambridge doesn't require it, so you don't write anything. The correct word to use here is not or, it is actually and. So some of you write or and then Cambridge doesn't like it. I don't know whether they actually penalize, but they have commented on it before. So they don't require the word, you just don't write anything. So just go and solve them separately. So this is not difficult to solve. You will get 2x is greater or equal to, bring over become -7, right? And therefore x is greater or equal to, divide by 2, you get -3.5. I leave it as a decimal or leave it as a mixed number. Don't leave it in this case as an improper fraction because they ask you to find integers, right? So if you leave it as an improper fraction, very hard to see what the integer value is. Then on the other side, you will have 2x is less than 3 over, bring over become 2. So therefore x is less than 1. Please do not forget to synthesize. So common mistake when students are solving simultaneous inequalities, for whatever reason, you all somehow forget to synthesize. Please remember to synthesize. Jada, what's the synthesis here? How do I write the synthesis? X is what and what? What is on the left-hand side? So x is greater or smaller than? So you write it this way, greater or equal than -3.5. And then this is smaller than 1. So you must write this. This is technically so-called your solution. So that carries 1 mark, 1 answer mark. Okay? So for splitting and then solving them correctly, you get 1 mark. For synthesizing it, you get 1 mark. And then the last mark comes from what? What are all the integers from -3.5 to 1? Strictly less than. Jake, what are all the integers? If you are not sure, you can always use your number line to help you. Okay, but you should be able to visualize this without a number line except for already. What are the integers? What's the smallest integer first? -3, then? -2, then? Any more? Now we are back to the question I asked just now, right? Is 0 an integer? The answer is yes. So your real number system must remember 0 is an integer. What's the definition of an integer? So I'm going to revise this again. Integer means whole valued number. Can be positive, negative, or 0. Okay, so -1 is an integer, -2 is an integer, 1 is an integer, 0 is also an integer by definition. Okay, the one that students confuse with is this thing called positive integer or negative integer. From the definition here, you can tell that 0 is neither positive nor negative. So if they ask you for positive integer or they ask you for negative integer, does not include 0. But if they ask you for integer only, yes. Okay, the other terms that you need to be familiar with, take it down. Also things like what? They can sometimes use the expression natural number. Natural number is what? Natural number starts from 1. So basically, they are your positive integers. That is called natural number. Okay? So don't confuse these two things. That whole number includes 0. So that's why it's sometimes a little bit confusing. You learn whole number in primary school. Whole number starts from 0. So whole number is your positive integers and 0. Okay, that's why in primary school, when you learn whole numbers, you learn 0. All right, so don't confuse the definition. So sometimes Cambridge can test you the definitions directly one. They may not tell you, oh, define what an integer is, but they expect you to know from a question like this. Let's move on. Simplify this. I don't think you all should have any problem. Kimi, when I see dividing of a fraction, what is the first thing I need to do? Keep change flip, right? So flip it around. Don't cancel first. A lot of you hand very itchy, you'll go and cancel. No. Before you cancel, you flip first. So keep it as it is. So keep change flip. 21q to the power of 4 over 8p square r. Okay? Then now you can start cancelling. My advice to you, when you're cancelling, cancel in pencil. Number 1, so that it's a lot less messy. And number 2, so that if you cancel wrongly, it's easy to erase. Please remember how to cancel. When it's multiplication, you cancel diagonally and top and bottom. So don't anyhow. I will still see sometimes students cancel like that. Oh, I have q here, I cancel q here. Correct or wrong? Wrong. Numerator cannot cancel with numerator. Okay, but also don't forget to cancel whole number. Sometimes you all will randomly forget to cancel your whole numbers. So divide by 4 here, left with 2. Divide by 4 here, left with 5. Got anything else to cancel or not? Don't have. That's all. So now, if you are easily confused, you should not multiply out straight away. You write them as 2 separate fractions first. So on the left side, I have 5p q over r square. Then on the right side, I have 3q to the power of 4 over 2r. And therefore, I will now multiply them together. Because none of the terms are the same. No, there's one like term, right? So you have 15p q to the power of 5. Then you have r and 2r, so you have 2r to the power of 3. And that's the answer for 2 marks. Very easy one. So even your O-level questions are not very difficult, much less to say your N-level questions, correct or not? There will always be questions that are there for you to score marks one. But you must know your basic concepts. Okay? Question C is an indices question. Question B technically is also an indices question, but you may have seen that in lower secondary degree, not exactly in upper. They don't test that in upper side much. But C is your upper side indices. This one need to be very careful. First things first, I see negative power. Jake, what does it mean? You flip the entire fraction. Okay, so what is in the numerator will go to the denominator. What is in the denominator will go to the numerator. So anytime you see negative power means flip the fraction. So sometimes you will end up flipping a fraction more than once. You flip once and then you have to flip again later on because there's 2 negatives and things like that. It's fine. You just flip it twice if you cannot see how to simplify directly. Okay. So now I flip the fraction. I will have 64b to the power of 12 over a to the power of 9. Then the whole thing to the power of 2/3. Jada, when I have the whole thing to the power of 2/3, what do I do to the powers? The powers will all apply to all the terms. This one, be very careful. So if I were to draw an arrow, the 2/3 will apply to this. The 2/3 will apply to this. The 2/3 will apply to this also. What happens to the powers? Do I plus or do I multiply the powers here? So you must, plus is not correct. You must remember your laws or indices. So we recap your laws or indices again. So AM times AN. So if I have this example, what do I do the power, Jita? A to the power M times A to the power N is plus. So I get A to the power of M plus N, correct? But if I have A to the power of M, the whole thing to the power of N, what is the power now? A to the power of Mn, right? So you multiply, right? Yeah, I know you meant Mn. So this is not plus anymore. This is times. So in this situation, do I add the powers or do I multiply the powers? Which scenario is it? First scenario or second scenario? Second. So you have to multiply the powers. But don't be confused. I have 64 to the power of 2/3. Then you ask me, what is 64 to the power of 2/3? It's called press your calculator. What is 64 to the power of 2/3? I also too lazy to calculate. That's what the calculator is for. It's 16. Okay, don't go and rack your head and rack your brains and go and try to figure out what it is. Don't need. So it will just tell you it's 16. Then b to the power of 12 times 2/3. That one, you technically, if you wanted to, you can go and calculate it, or you can just again press your calculator and realize it's b to the power of 8. Then 9 times 2/3 is 6. So a to the power of 6 in the denominator. Then you ask yourself, can simplify any further or not? Cannot simplify any further, right? So that's the answer. Easy 2 marks, once again. Okay, let's move on. Write as a single fraction in its simplest form. This is where things start to get a little bit harder. And you know it's a bit harder when it's 4 marks all of a sudden. But actually, this entire first page is not a very difficult one. Perfectly manageable. If I want to make them if I want to combine fractions into a single fraction, Kimmy, what do I need to make the same? To combine into a single fraction, need to make what? You learn this even in primary school. If I want to add or subtract fractions, I make denominators the same. So you must remember the rule. It's a rule that you learn in primary school. So when you need to combine into a single fraction and it's plus minus, it is always to make denominator the same. So how to make denominators the same? So you ask yourself what each term needs to multiply by. So normally I like to straight away take a pencil and write down. So if I have x plus 2 here, my x plus 2 need to multiply by x minus 4 minus x to make the same denominator, right? That means my numerator must also multiply by 4 minus x. I will write this using pencil and not pen. Then same thing for this other term. What is missing? I need to multiply it by what? X plus 2 lor. That's how we find common denominators, while we multiply them by each other, especially in algebraic form. So this will also be multiplied by x plus 2. Right? Now, the only thing that is complicated here is actually the 1. Check, what do I need to do to the 1? How to make it the same denominator? What is 1? Or what is any whole number? It doesn't necessarily need to be 1, right? It can be any whole number, right? So what would this whole number here be? You learn in primary school, a whole number as a fraction will be anything out. It will be there will be the whole number out of 1. So if you are not sure, you write it as 1 out of 1 first. Then later we decide what to do about it. So from here, this expression will be equal to, I will have x times 4 minus x. Then minus sorry, not minus, plus 3 bracket x plus 2 over 4 minus x plus 2. So that is how I make denominators the same, right? And now what do I make the 1? It's a fraction 1 out of 1, right? How do I make 1 out of 1 same denominator? I have to multiply by 4 minus x plus 2, agree? Then numerator will also be 4 minus x plus 2. This will simplify down to 1, agree or not? That is what 1 out of 1 is, right? If you have any other whole number, how do you do it? Then you will just multiply. If let's say it's out of 2 instead of 1, it's 2 instead of 1, then you just put 2 out of 2 long, and so on. Right? But it doesn't matter here because it's the whole number is just 1, right? So it's just the same thing divided by the same thing. That is how you make denominators the same. Okay, and once you have this, you can now go ahead and solve. Not go ahead and solve, but rather go ahead and combine them. Okay, I made a mistake here. Can you help me change the sign here? This should be minus and not plus. This sign here is minus. It's minus 1, not plus 1. So change it to a minus, please. So I will have x bracket 4. Now I can expand the whole thing. Now, and it's always perfectly safe to expand the whole thing because the sign there is plus. Okay, so I will have 4x minus x squared plus 3x plus 6. Please make sure you do your expansion correctly. The only one that is tricky, I want you to take note, because this is a minus, what do we always want to put? I want to put a bracket here. Many of you will omit this bracket, and then because you omit this bracket, what happens? You later on forget to change the sign. Later on, you forget to change the sign. So 4 minus x plus 2. Nothing better to do here. What do? I just expand this. So rainbow expansion, right? This times this times this. Okay. So I will have 4x plus 8 minus x squared minus 2x. So the bracket here is important because I need to consider the change of sign. Please do not forget the denominator. It's a fraction. We are not solving an equation. In an equation, after we make denominators the same, something equal to something, will so-called cancel out the denominators because they are the same thing, but it doesn't happen when you are writing an expression. Okay, so here you can go and simplify the numerator first. I will have 4x plus 3x, which is 7x, right? Then I have minus x squared. Then I have plus 6. And this part here is where it is tricky. I put a minus here. I have 4x minus 2x, so that will give me plus 2x, right? If you are the kind who will tend to make careless mistakes, you simplify what is in the bracket first. So that will give you negative x squared plus 2x plus 8. So this is by right what you should have. But the reason why I still keep the bracket here is because this is a minus. So what will happen to the sign inside the bracket? When I open the bracket, you must remember to flip the sign. That is the reason why the bracket there is important. A lot of students will omit the bracket. If you omit the bracket, you will not remember to flip the sign, then the thing will be wrong. Okay, so I have 7x minus x squared plus 6. Now I flip the sign, I get plus x squared because minus minus. I get minus 2x. I also get minus 8. And therefore, we are left with minus x squared plus x squared will just cancel each other out. So 7x minus 2x will give me 5x. Plus 6 minus 8 will give me minus 2. the numerator cannot be factorized. So you just keep it as this. And that's your answer. So for 4 marks, actually the question not very difficult, right? Okay. Any question here? It's a 4 mark question, but actually not very challenging lah. You just need to make sure you do everything systematically. The most common mistake that students will make with this kind of question is what? There's a minus, you never put bracket, and therefore you never change the sign. That is the most common mistake already. So always make sure you remember to change the sign.